I've gotten a lot of requests lately to cover Naples as well, especially since every cruise ship that goes from Rome to Athens or Athens to Rome stops in Naples. Now, let me tell you right away, Naples is the most difficult choice you're gonna have to make because there are two amazing excursions you can go on, and you can only pick one of the two. The first option is going to Pompeii and visit what is arguably the best archaeological site in the whole world. And option two is visiting the Amalfi coast with the most beautiful and glamorous towns you've ever seen. Now, of course, if you're going to Naples on your own and not on a cruise, then you will definitely do both. But for all of you out there going on a cruise, you're gonna have to make a decision. All right, let's start by looking at the Pompeii Tour first and how you can book it, and then we'll do the same for the Amalfi day trip. So, Pompeii is an archaeological site located half an hour southeast of Naples, and I guess you know the story, more or less. Pompeii was a thriving Roman city, but in 79 AD, the Vesuvius had one of the largest explosive eruptions mankind has ever witnessed, and Pompeii was unlucky enough to be located just at the base of the volcano, and so within a few hours it was completely buried under meters and meters of ash, leaving the locals no chance to escape. But that also means that the entirety of Pompeii remained hidden in this ash for nearly 2,000 years until it was eventually discovered and started being excavated in the mid 1800s. And this right here is a super important aspect you have to understand about Pompeii. While cities like Rome, Athens kept being inhabited, and so the locals would often destroy willingly older buildings just to collect some of these rocks and build newer stuff with that. None of that happens in Pompeii ever because it was underground, hidden from everyone. And so the entirety of the city was like frozen in time as it was in 79 AD. And that's why, in my opinion, Pompeii is the best archaeological site you can ever visit. And as it turns out, Pompeii is the #1 most visited archaeological site in the world. So it looks like it's not just me who thinks Pompeii is amazing. Everything is so well preserved. The streets, the sidewalks. I mean, look at this. All of this is original. None of this was rebuilt. This is the real thing. You can even very clearly see all the crosswalks for pedestrians to cross the streets. And if you're wondering how the carts pulled by horses would avoid hitting these blocks as they were driving by, well, you had these grooves carved into the street so that the cart wheels would drop into them like rails. Very clever system. And all of this is stuff you can't see in any other places in the world because it was destroyed over time. You will also see amazingly well-preserved amphitheaters and colonnades, stuff you will also see in Athens and Rome, except these ones here are in a much better condition. You can also see what ancient fast food restaurants look like. You have these stone countertops and built-in ceramic jars that once held hot dishes like stews and soups. This is where the Romans would go for a quick meal on the go, especially for people who didn't have a kitchen at home. You can also see the inside of a few bakeries. This here is the oven, super well preserved once more. You have these large ceramic jars where they would store all the bakery's cereals, and then you have the stone mill to grind these cereals into flour. This beautiful building was a brothel, and so inside you have multiple tiny rooms where you know what was going on all day long. And fun fact, brothels were indicated with these very elegant and subtle signs on the streets, cobblestones. And then as you step into the heart of Pompeii, so the town's main square, you have this chilling inside, the Vesuvius looming in the background. And in that moment, you fully understand how terrifyingly exposed the city was to that volcano. They really didn't stand a chance. And then, of course, you'll get to see the very famous body casts of the very unfortunate Pompeians who were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And yeah, you can't help feeling a little sorry for them. There you go. I could show you much more, of course, but I think you did the point. It's really a once-in-a-lifetime experience to walk around this town that has been frozen in time for the last 2,000 years. And by the way, in case it wasn't clear, all of this is with a tour guide, so you can expect all sorts of stories and additional insights. You can book this tour by scanning this or click the link down below. It lasts 3 hours and there's multiple starting times, one around 8 in the morning, one around 10:30, and one around 1 p.m. There's the option as well to be picked up and dropped off at the cruise port directly. And you can choose if you'd rather be in a group of up to 40 people, 18 people, or 8 people. I would personally go for the smallest possible group size, even if it's a bit pricier. Now, there's another tour that also does Pompeii in the same way, except that after that, you also go on a short hike to the top of Mount Vesuvius. It takes roughly 40 minutes to get to the top from where the driver will leave you and 20 minutes to come back down. The crater seen from the top is a very, very impressive sight. And since you're at an altitude of 1,200 meters, the view is absolutely breathtaking. That's the Amalfi coast over there with Capri Island in the very back. And to the right, you have the Bay of Naples with its multiple islands as well. If you want to book that tour, so the Pompeii plus the Vesuvius, here's the QR code or down below. That excursion starts around 9:30 from the cruise port and you're back in Naples around 5 p.m. If you're on a cruise, make sure to select the option that says cruise port pickup. All right, that was for Pompeii. Now let's talk about the Amalfi Coast. 1 hour south of Naples, there's the so-called Sorrentine Peninsula, and its 3 most famous towns are Sorrento, Positano, and Amalfi. The northern coast of that peninsula is called the Sorrento coast, while the southern one is the super famous Amalfi coast. And as you saw earlier, the peninsula is very mountainous, so most of the tours are going to be on narrow, winding cliffside roads. So if you easily get car sick, definitely have some pills before that tour. All right, so the tour starts around 8 a.m. You hop on this minibus, and 1 hour later, you arrive in Sorrento, the first stop. You'll have 1 hour to walk around all the cute alleys, and your guide will also tell you how to reach this beautiful viewpoint. Amazing view of the rest of the peninsula, and you can also see the beautiful pristine waters of Sorrento down there. And of course the Vesuvius is inside as well, since the Amalfi Coast is only a few kilometers away from Pompeii. Oh, and there you will also have a little sample tasting of the local delicacies, which all revolve around pistachio, limoncello, and cappuccino flavors. Very, very tasty stuff. And it's a shop as well, so of course if you want to bring some gifts back home, this is a great spot to buy a few things. All right, back on the minibus, your guide will tell you all kinds of stories about the area, including how this was where the whole concept of Dolce Vita was born in the 50s, which was this idea of enjoying life's simple pleasures and not taking life too seriously. I recommend you sit on the right-hand side of the bus because that's where nearly all the best views will be. And after half an hour of driving, you'll start having the beautiful sight of all these houses built on the mountain edge, and that means you have arrived at Positano, the second stop of the day. The bus is going to drop you off halfway down the mountainside, so you'll still have to walk downhill for 15-20 minutes to reach the beach, and that place right here is where you have the best view of Positano. This is the absolute money shot of the tour, so it's definitely worth going down there. Now, a little pro tip, on the way back up, instead of taking the same route, you want to go and climb these stairs opposite to this tiny square we're on. It's a bit steeper, but there's way less people and the views are absolutely gorgeous. Keep climbing these stairs, and at some point you're going to start seeing staircases going to the right. You can take any of them, and it will bring you back to the main road, very close to where the minibus is parked. And from that main road, you'll have this other breathtaking panorama. Positano is by far the most beautiful town in the whole area, so make sure to have your phone with you, specifically there for all the Instagram pictures you'll want to take. All right, back on the bus, and after another 45 minutes, you're arriving in Amalfi. By then, it's around 1 p.m., so that's where you'll probably want to have lunch. I personally went for pizza and an octopus salad at a place called Amalfi Terminal, and it was all very delicious, despite the place being a bit touristy, but I guess everything is touristy in Amalfi. And after lunch, you'll still have some time to walk around Amalfi town. It's a really beautiful place, but it's also very, very touristy. I personally preferred Positano. My advice would be to not stay on this very busy main alley where all the tourist shops are, and instead take any of these side alleys to the right. Those will bring you to much more hidden and authentic places. It actually reminded me a bit of Santorini, where like the main alley is always super, super packed, but the second you go on one of the side alleys, you're completely alone. Now, just next to the main church as you enter Amalfi, there's this place called Andrea Panza, famous for its lemon-stuffed pasticciotti, which is a crunchy pastry filled with lemon custard. I'm not a huge dessert guy, but the combination of this buttery, crispy shell and then the soft lemon filling inside, wow, it was fantastic, so don't miss out. And another specialty of the region is fresh lemon sorbet, which you can have either in a cup or served in an actual lemon, which is of course the much more Instagrammable way of doing it. Very nice, super refreshing, especially since this place gets pretty hot in the summer. And after Amalfi, you'll drive back to Naples, which you'll reach around 5 p.m. Now, you can do all of this either as a private tour in a car or in a van if you're more than 3, or as a group tour on a minibus, which is what I did. But if I were to do it again, I would definitely pick the private one instead. You have more space in a car or in a van than in these minibuses, which are kind of narrow because they have to fit on all these crazy roads, both for your legs and for your hips. Plus, the longer the vehicle, the more you fly left and right in each turn, which I was definitely feeling on the minibus. And considering you're spending a total of 3 hours, 3 hours and a half on the road, some extra comfort will really enhance your experience a lot. The private tour is roughly double the price, so it's not cheap, but in my opinion, absolutely worth paying more for. I'm leaving the 2 links down below as well for that. Now, just so you know, there's also a day trip that goes to both Pompeii and the Amalfi Coast, but I'm not sure how I feel about that one. On the one hand, great, you get to see everything in just one day, wonderful. On the other hand, everything is super, super rushed. So yeah, I would say if you're certain that you will never be back in Naples in your entire life, and you have both Pompeii and Amalfi on your absolute bucket list, sure, do it, by all means. Otherwise, I would just pick one of the two and do it more in depth and in a more relaxed way. I think it's much more enjoyable. All right, one last thing. What about Naples, the city? Should you spend some time visiting it? The answer is no. No offense to my Neapolitan viewers, but Naples is one of the ugliest, dirtiest cities I've ever seen. So yeah, don't feel like you're missing out by skipping Naples and going straight from the cruise port to Pompeii or Amalfi. That's the right thing to do. All right, if you're going to Naples, you might also be going to Rome. I'm working on that video and I'll put it here as soon as it's ready. And for everything you need to know when going to Mykonos on a cruise, you can watch this one. And there you go. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. See you next one. Bye.